everybody. Right off the bat, I want to say this is me sharing my own personal experience. I don't have any students that I'm actively teaching this alternative posture to. It is something that I found through working out posture for my own body, and I don't know anything officially about anatomy or whatever. So I really do want you to be able to take what I'm saying in this video and apply it to yourself in the full abstract way, not necessarily the exact way that I'm doing it. With that caveat out of the way though, is your classical posture holding you back from improvising? You know, there are some limitations of classical posture, and classical posture was developed for the cello to be a bass instrument. And though there have been adaptations over time, and truly a miraculous level of technical innovation as far as strings and setup and everything goes, to be able to play incredible things on strings that originally gut strings would not have been able to accommodate, like all of this crazy high stuff that I do, for example. And there are a couple of things that I'm sure you'll relate to if you play the cello. One is it's scary to play up high / uncomfortable to play up high or whatever. The second thing is, and you might not notice this until I point it out and then you'll see it everywhere, the majority of cellists are leaning their heads away from the instrument so as to accommodate, and it's especially bad when I have these headphones on, but so as to accommodate the headstock here. Now, I already have the posture peg, which is meant to give me a little bit more room there, but you can see that, especially with the headphones on, if it's too close, you know, I'm going to be too scared of that happening, and I'm just not going to want to have my posture be correct. So this is actually how it started for me. And even though there were some apparent limitations of this new posture at first, I found that as I kept practicing it, I was able to work those out. So for example, one apparent limitation is that while first position is all the easier here because your arm doesn't have to be as tightly wound, the further you go up, the more you encounter this upper bout as an issue. So I will address that. And then the other thing is, as much as is gained from having the elbow be close to the body on the top strings, the low strings, you basically have to have your elbow right next to your body, and that's just not how we were taught to play. So you're going to have to, if you want to experiment with this, kind of get over some of those things, but trust that in time, it'll open up. So let me give you a few, or first of all, let me show you a little bit. It's hard for me to even show you what the normal classical posture is while I'm wearing the headphone. Let me put it back. You're usually taught to have it be very upright, and you're thinking of the fingerboard usually as this vertical up and down thing. You have your arms kind of out like this, and you're bowing primarily with your upper arm and stuff like that. Now, the problem with having your arms up that high is that you're putting a lot of extra torque on the large muscle groups that are ultimately responsible for moving your arms. So as I worked on balancing my posture left to right, balancing my spine, of course I can sit more actively, but you know, I really nowadays use my core and lower legs to be able to support a stable foundation, and I'm trying to move the bow primarily from my upper back and chest. So like the chest will kind of pull the bow forward, or it'll help your arm shift up. Whereas the lat in the back, you tighten that up, it'll pull the bow back or help your arm go back. So I think this is part of the secret sauce when your teachers are trying to tell you, play relaxed, play relaxed, play relaxed. The reason they want you to play relaxed is multifold. I mean, there's many good reasons to play relaxed, but I think two of the most important reasons are, one, it is possible / safe to actually play all these passages long term and with like lots of playing days. And two, it literally sounds better because the more relaxed you are, the more you're facilitating every little extra bit of resonance from the cello to like go through your fingers, go through your bones, anything. The reason I have this weirdly fancy brass end pin is because the sound that goes out the bottom doesn't just stay there. If it has something good at the bottom, it'll continue vibrating, and by using the brass coupler in the ground, it can actually shoot energy back up into the cello. So all of these considerations, you know, where resonance might be cut off, you're going to improve your playing by avoiding that. So with that in mind, we want to have good posture, and we want to not have to put our arms in a situation where they're too high, and we want to be able to not have a tendency to lean right. It just kind of seems obvious to somewhat guitarify the cello posture, right? I mean, I could make this more extreme and then the hand is here, but this is kind of like halfway there. I mean, maybe not 45 degrees, but 30 degrees or something like that. It is very natural still, I think. I mean, I've also been playing cello so long, so who knows what's truly natural, but I can move my arm forward and it just goes up. And The thing about this bout thing is like, yeah, you do have to bring your elbow more forward in order to not overly contact with it, but that's going to give you a physical marker. You don't want to rest on it, but like that's going to give you a physical marker of like where you are up high. So I think it's actually a benefit. Same thing down here. It might feel weird at first that like your arm is just like sitting right next to you like that, but again, that's like way better for the actual posture, right? I don't have to lift the arm up really high, and you can actually feel the shoulder blade coming up when you do that compared to down. I mean, it's just not as efficient of a posture. The other little secret sauce that you might notice is that, okay, so I've started also trying to use, like, balance my gravity, right? So if my arms are forward to go high, I'm pulled forward a little bit, and I think that that is okay. I'm still going to want to pull back, but and I don't want to hunch over, but here it's going to make sense for me to be in first position. Up there, it's going to make sense for me to lean forward just a little bit. I mean, if we contrast this with classical posture, we can apparently move forward with ease, but it still feels a lot further away. And I mean, who knows if it's really a problem, but as somebody who loves to play really, really, really high, and I feel like pretty much everything I play up until here at this point is like pretty just like regularly in tune. So I mean, it's like, and I'm using this posture. So I personally ultimately have found it a lot easier of a way to add facility over the instrument. You will have to think about a couple other things. So one thing that's actually nice about this is that the bow is so far over, you can actually kind of do the beginner bow hold everyone wants to do and actually still get a good sound. Like, but as you pull it, move your fingers. So you'll have to kind of be aware, like the ideal bowing is always going to be this kind of perpendicular to the string thing. And so like I find that like sometimes it's kind of nice actually to do this like weird finger thing if it allows my elbow to stay low. And definitely if you're doing any sort of like comping or accompanimental cello sort of thing, I think for the left hand, everything falls really nice and easily. And the right hand, you're just holding the bow like this, right? So yeah, you have to kind of change the way you're playing some of this stuff. It's going to be rowboaty, but ultimately, I think it's a lot easier to get around the instrument. I think it's a lot easier to have the right posture. I think that there's only really one potential downside, which is having to lift the elbow up further on the left arm. But again, I've found that because I can like lean forward and kind of take advantage of this bout for some support occasionally as I'm moving, I'm at least able to compensate for it that way with a ton more freedom to keep my right elbow low and still get all of the, effect that I want. So yeah. I feel like I've shared everything I want to about the posture, and I'm sorry there weren't more like plain examples with this one, but I do feel like I'm pretty solid that like this sort of diagonal posture where the upper bout here is against my solar plex more or less, and I'm looking down at basically where the A string touches the bridge. I mean, this is basically my posture now. If you look back at the videos, you'll see the slow adaptation. So I realized I do feel pretty comfortable with this. I do feel pretty solid that this is like something that works for me at least. So I kind of wanted to share, get it out there, have this be a part 3, I suppose, for the how to improvise and play jazz on cello. And I hope you guys learned from it. Let me know if there's another sort of specific cello playing improv or jazz topic that you're feeling stuck about, and assuming that you've watched the first 3 videos that I've made on it, and I will think about it and try to find a way to address it. So thank you guys for watching. We're going to continue the show as I continue recording tonight and get to some actual music. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.